A few weeks ago, when a friend of ours wasn't well, we went to visit them, and they were so sweet. They shared a meal with us, even though it was very basic. It was the most delicious meal I've ever eaten in my life. Now, that is, I mean, of course, I do tend to make sweeping statements constantly. But it was really delicious. And of course, I asked, like every woman goes to someone's house and eats something tasty, you say, what's the recipe? So my friend was very magnanimous and she shared the recipe, and the secret really was moringa leaves, which is I mean, I keep forgetting the name of this in Hindi or Marathi, but so moringa leaves basically is the tree from where moringa like drumsticks grow, and I had never had this, and it's really good. It's very it's like a superfood and all that, but it's in South India it's very staple because people, I mean, moringa trees are everywhere. So I was like fascinated, and I started looking everywhere. So I used to go to like vegetable vendors and say, do you have moringa leaves? So no luck, it was not happening until today when I went to so when I dropped my daughter to school, I passed like a lane, and in that lane there's a lady who sells leaves, and I mean vegetables, and very nice vegetables. So today, every day I see her like have different vegetables like on the road. So today I asked, wo drumstick hai na, wo uska patta, and then she of course like very rudely was like, nahi, chalo jao, you know, and I was like, oh, sorry. So anyways, on my way back, I thought I'd try again, and there was a lady there, and she was very educated. So I was like, excuse me, how do you say moringa leaves or drumsticks in Hindi? So she gave me the name, which again I've forgotten, and I asked that lady, and she said no. But then this lady said, oh, my sister has it right, you know, down the road on the right. So I was like, okay. And now I live in Vasai, and Vasai is filled with like fertile trees and vegetables, and I really like the place because every building has trees. Now the thing is, I have been looking around for moringa leaves, but I didn't know how they looked. They look a little bit like methi leaves, but they're not. And so anyways, so I went to the right, and of course, since I didn't know the biological look for the leaves, I was looking, and I saw all kinds of leaves. And there was a lady who was walking with a kid, and she looked at me and she was like, do you need some help? And I was like, I'm looking for trees. And she was like, weirdo. Anyways, so eventually I almost gave up, and I was like, forget it, and I'll go back. And then I went back and I saw her again, that lady, Angel I would say, and I said, hey, where is your sister's house? Because, you know, like I'd like to ask her permission. So they were very sweet, because I think in Vasai people generally don't ask permission to take things from the leaves around. So I went to that lady's house, and of course the moringa tree was really high and I couldn't reach it obviously, and I saw it, and then I studied it because it basically looks like, I said, methi leaves, but it was really high, and I was like, oh, you know, I'll have to get a ladder and, you know, get my husband to stand, and then maybe he can jump and grab a branch. So she said, oh, why don't you just try that in the corner, again right opposite our building, there's a kirana shop. She said right next to there's a tree there, why don't you check there? So I said, okay. So this lady, I said bye, thank you, everything, and then I went right opposite my building gate. There's a kirana shop, and there was a moringa tree, and I just went and I reached, like I didn't have to like tiptoe. I reached and I grabbed a branch and I plucked it. I mean, seriously, I was really happy, and then I was very excited, and it was all like on the road, so it was not even, it was growing wild. And then I went home, and then I got a little scared because, you know, I'm a urban girl. I'm not used to picking trees and eating them, or fruits and eating them. Like people in the village and people in small towns who with information, they know this, but like I've been brought up in Delhi and Bombay, and even in Mussoorie, only berries we would eat, and that also if you knew for sure, like they were also poisonous plants. So I've always been careful. I'm not the daughter of the soil at all. I'm the daughter of the city with traffic and, you know, pollution and, you know, all that. So I was a little paranoid. So I came home, and then obviously Google would have to help me. So I took a picture of the moringa leaf, and I Googled it, and first it said lizard, and I was like, this isn't a lizard. And then the second time I did it, it immediately said, okay, moringa leaves, and I was happy. So now I'm here to share with you this famous recipe. Now, my friend definitely shared her recipe, but she makes it with moong dal, like whole moong dal, and like the fat rice. Okay, that's how they had made it. It was very good, very tasty. But I don't have moong dal like soaked, and neither do I have the sprouts. I think it might be spoiled. So I decided that what happened was I went online and I searched for some videos on how to make it. I mean, I wasn't planning to make a video, but I discovered something really cool. Now, not just the fact that I found moringa leaves, but also that essentially the recipe for moringa is combining cooked dal, cooked rice, and a tadka being made with everything, including moringa. So now you can do this with palak, you can do this with methi. A lot of people do that. So moringa leaves is not so exotic as I'm making it out to be. It's very basic, but just the flavor of the leaves are really good and tasty. So today I thought I'd give a leftover recipe of, if you have dal leftover, if you have rice leftover, which in most Indian homes we tend to do, and you really want to eat khichdi, instead of just making it from scratch, because I've actually had a very bad experience with khichdi. Interestingly, my shout out to my brother, because he just made a fantastic recipe on YouTube, Cooking with Nigel. So I've always struggled with making khichdi, and what happens is I never get the consistency right. Like sometimes the rice is too much, sometimes the dal is too much. So this recipe actually is, for me at least, it's a perfect recipe because it uses two leftovers that you have, dal and rice, and you bring it together with a simple tadka and you add the leaves. So it's really basic. Okay, I would call it the leftover khichdi recipe. So if you're craving khichdi or you don't know what to eat and you just don't feel like eating rice and dal again, this is a really nice way to kind of spruce up your meal and make it cool. So what I did was I got basic onions. So I got sambar onions, a little bigger sambar onions, like shallots, and I chopped that with some garlic, and I also chopped some coconut. So normally coconut is used in moringa khichdi. So what I did was I used coconut and I sliced it very thin. After that I fried it in coconut oil. So in that I added, of course, zira and mustard seeds with some dried curry leaves, and then I added the onions. After that I added the dal straight into the pan. Now you can see that the dal was already made, like there was tadka already given to the dal. There was already put like tomato and onions. Now if you don't have dal with tadka, then I would suggest adding some tadka, like a few more. I only use 2 garlic in this recipe, but use more if you want, use more onions if you want. Tweak it according to what you want, because that's actually what I do. If I feel like eating garlic, then I add a little more garlic. If I feel like eating onions, I add more onions. If I don't feel like adding too many onions and garlic and tomatoes, I don't. So it depends on the mood. It depends if you're unwell. If it depends if you're craving, home or something. So now one variation that I have thought is you can actually make this in ghee. You don't need to use coconut oil. I love the taste of coconut oil. It's very light and fresh. So that's why I use coconut oil. But again, oil can be used according to what you want. If you live in Italy, then use olive. If you live in Southeast Asia, use til. Oil actually essentially is, I would say, is per your taste. And then I added the leaves. After I added the leaves, I let it settle into the dal a little bit, and then after that I added the rice. Now I did not measure this recipe. Whatever dal I had and whatever rice I had, I just mixed that, and then I mixed the moringa leaves. If you want to use a measurement, I would say use more rice than dal, because more dal becomes very soupy. But again, if you want it more soupy, then use more dal than rice. This goes now. Essentially, the recipe, if you even Google this or you YouTube these videos, Moringa Kitchdi actually is dal cooked separate, rice cooked separate, and then everything brought together in a coconut base. So instead of doing that, you just might as well use your leftovers, because that's what it did and it saved me so much time. So that was it, and then I just mixed it and I served it with a little salad. This salad is my famous Vasai salad, which I will actually, it's not a Vasai salad, it's just a salad that was served in the church that we used to go to, and it was amazing because it's got radish and tomato and cucumber and onion and beetroot, and it's a gorgeous salad. So I've nicknamed it Vasai salad, but I'll give you the recipe for that later, not now, or you can, like, eventually when I make it, I'll put the link here, wherever. But right now I haven't done that recipe. Maybe in the future I would. Yeah, so that is my lunch, and I'm going to show you my lunch now, and I'm going to eat it in front of you and show you how it tasted. I'm holding it high so it's in the shot. The coconut is very nice. Okay, this part I don't know if you can see this. Okay, this part is no fun. You can keep it in the side, but the leaves are good, and if you mix it with salad, it's super healthy. So honestly, methi leaves have a very strong taste, as does spinach, although spinach is still very thick. Moringa leaves don't have that much of a taste that's very strong or unique or different, but what I like is it just immerses within the flavor of the food, which is kind of nice. So I'm sorry, I'm like supposed to be talking to you when I'm eating. It's nice, it's good. If you add coconut, the whole the dish kind of becomes very tropical and nice. So if you're into coconut, then this is a great addition.